Hello guys, while browsing for inspiration for my course about design patterns, I was looking through open source repositories, and one of those was FreakDev repository by Frank van der Herten from Spatie, and I saw this line of code. Response cache clear. And I don't remember using that response cache, so I became interested in what that is and how that works. Also, while browsing the same repository, I saw the same thing in approve link action in another action class. After some changes in the database, also response cache clear. So in this video, I will show you what that response cache is with my own example. And this response cache is a part of the package by Spatie, of course themselves, who else? Laravel response cache by Spatie, speed up an app by caching the entire response. So the idea is that whenever you return some view, some blade view, all of that is put in the cache for some time. By default, it's a week from what I remember from the documentation, but then you can clear the cache, all the cache or part of it whenever something changes in the database. So let me show you that package in action in a demo project. Here's a demo project based on Laravel Breeze, and there is a page to load the posts list, which intentionally has, if we go to post controller, sleep for 2 seconds. So we know that this controller is actually executed. So we go to posts, there will be 2 seconds delay, and then there will be a table of posts. Great. But now if we go to homepage and click posts again, this is instant. Because the second time it loads, it comes from the cache and doesn't even touch the controller. So this is how that caching works. But as you can see, there's no cache here in the controller, so where it is configured. After installing the package, if we take a look at the official documentation, you install, you publish the vendor, you may configure something, but basically this is the main thing. In the middlewares, you add cache response to all of the web middleware group. This is the syntax for Laravel 11, and for Laravel 10 and earlier, this was in app HTTP kernel. But basically you have two things. Web has all cache response, but also you need a separate alias for do not cache response, which you would add manually for the routes, kind of excluding some routes that you don't want to cache. So this is exactly what has been done in our demo project. In Bootstrap app, we have these two lines according to the documentation, and then we add do not cache response to the routes. So we have routes web based on Laravel Breeze, and Laravel Breeze has a separate auth file PHP. So route middleware guest group, we add this do not cache response to the guest middleware because there's no point of caching register form or login routes. So for example, the same example, register user controller, I added sleep 2 seconds in the create method of registration, and now if we go to registration, we wait for 2 seconds until that form appears. Let's go back and let's try again 2 seconds, which means that this route is not cached. It's under middleware of do not cache response. If you want to clear the cache, you may launch the cache clear from wherever in your application, as I've shown you in the example. For example, something changed in the database in Laravel Action or whatever service or controller or wherever, you just launch response cache clear, and that would clear all the cache. Let me demonstrate that. So in my PHP Storm, I will show you where the cache is stored. I'm storing the cache in the file system. So there's storage framework, and then there's cache, and there are folders of data. And if I launch from my terminal PHP Artisan response cache clear, which is the same as I would launch that in the code, as you can see, those data folders, subfolders are not present anymore. They are cleared. And then if I go to the same posts again, it will again sleep for 2 seconds and recache that folder or subfolder. As you can see, those appear here again. And according to the documentation, you can clear or forget some of the URLs, whichever you need. Another interesting feature of that package is that cache is saved for each user individually. So for example, if I register with a new user, again, we wait for 2 seconds, or actually let's remove those 2 seconds. So we've demonstrated that already. So again, refresh, fake filler Chrome extension. So we register as a new user, and then I go to post. And as you can see, there are 2 seconds again for caching for that specific user. So if I launch the homepage and then I go to posts again, this comes from the cache, but comes from the cache for that specific user of Christine. Now if I log out and I register again with another user. See what happens, register, and I go to post, and then another 2 seconds delay, caching the data, caching the response for that specific new user, second user. So this may be beneficial if you have page with individual records per user, something like multi-tenancy or similar. So this is how easy it is to install the package and use it, but also I will show you 2 more alternative packages which are mentioned in the same README of Spatie. I like their tradition of, if there is a package similar to what they do, they will totally recommend it and put that as alternative section in the README. So Barry released a package based on HTTP cache, which is not that popular, 400 stars. In comparison, Spatie package has 2000 stars. So Laravel HTTP cache is based on HTTP cache from Symfony. So it's kind of like alternative approach, and you can dive deep into that reading the docs of the package. And then another alternative, again, if we scroll down to alternatives, Joseph Silber created Laravel page cache. And this is another approach, caching the pages with web server config. So again, you add a middleware, but then you need to add some rules to Nginx or Apache config. So they would try to locate the HTML pages and not even touch Laravel. So that's caching kind of on the next level before Laravel. So Laravel would save the cached pages to your server as files, and then Nginx or Apache would catch those files first before even going through Laravel response at all. So that's kind of a different approach to caching responses, so you may check that out as well. Have you used any of those packages? Share your experience in the comments below. That's it for this time, and see you guys in other videos.